Hi, everyone. Happy Saturday. It's Saturday. How's everyone doing? It's Shauna. It's wonderful to be here. I'm so glad that you're here. As we know, I just kind of start talking just on the off chance that I'm actually live, even when it doesn't look that way, and it looks like I am. So fantastic. So happy to have you here. So happy to be here. We've been doing a lot of work. You've been doing a lot of work, which has been really, really fantastic and incredible to see. It's Saturday, and so I can just hear my son in the background. So just to kind of heads up right now, it's Saturday morning. We have some Saturday morning cartoons happening. Even in the age of Netflix, we still always call it like Saturday morning cartoons, just because it's fun. That was a big tradition in my kind of or a big sort of memory in my memory. So yeah, so it's so wonderful to have you here. And if you happen to hear my kids at some point, that's a very distinct possibility. It's a very distinct possibility that you are going to hear my little ones at some point. They are kind of around. They're around sort of everywhere. So as I'm sure you understand. So again, my name is Shauna Stewart Douglas. I run Thriving Women Entrepreneurs. I'm the host here. And we have been doing the Book Clients with Your Facebook group boot camp together, which has been phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Everything that I have been seeing, all the progress that I've been seeing being made, everything that's been moving forward. It has been really, really fantastic and wonderful to see. So well done to each and every one of you. Congratulations. I love seeing it. It's so exciting. It's so exciting to see all the work that you're putting in, all that effort that you're putting in to get that lead generation system for your business, so that way you're never going to be in a position where you don't feel like things are sustainable again. It's fantastic. I love seeing it. I'm really, really excited for you. I'm really excited for everything you're building and everything that's going to be moving forward from here. I think it's just sky's the limit. I mean, it's really exciting. So well done. Well done. Congratulations to everyone. Okay, so I'm also the founder of Permission to Profit. So we talked about that a little bit yesterday as well. This is a program that helps you lay out a simple and profitable plan for your business. I'm really excited to invite you in to work with us. We can talk a little bit about that kind of later. I know that some of the questions that have come in are relating to that, so we can definitely look at those too, because Facebook groups are just there's a lot of pieces there. There's a lot of pieces there. It's simple, it's free. I mean, the beautiful thing is that there's, I don't even know how many thousands of engineers working for Facebook trying to make things as streamlined as possible. So for the most part, things are kind of user friendly and things like that. But of course, there's always various things that pop up in the nuances. So I'm really excited to jump into some of that today. So of course, grab your workbook. All right, I hope you've got your workbook here, and there's a spot at the very end for notes. So if you didn't already find that, you can write some of your notes there, so that way you have everything all in one place as you're moving forward in your business, as you're jumping forward with the next idea and the next thing that you happen to be going into. So you've got it all right there, all in one place. Okie doke. All right, so make sure if you have questions as you think of things, go ahead, post them in the comments. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll keep an eye on that, and for anything that's coming through there, we'll make sure that we post that there. We get a chance to kind of cover off some of your questions. I've also had lots of conversations with people as well, so those questions have been coming in as well, and some of the ones that Nin has had also. So we've kind of pulled some of those pieces together there, so that way we can go ahead and cover some questions that you have. And of course, so if you've got those questions, post them in the chat. And I didn't even say as well, if you're here, say hi. So go ahead, say hi. If you're catching this on replay, hashtag replay. But just keep the questions coming as well. I know that you've also have questions that have been posted in the homework threads. You've been posting questions as well in all of the other lives that have been going on for the day. So go ahead and just keep that coming. Okay, so a quick reminder, we have all of the content that we have. You can find everything up in the unit section. All right, you can find all the homework threads. You can find all of the live videos. They're all right there in the unit section. So it's really easy to find, all in one place. Everything is going to stay there until Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday at midnight, it's all coming down. It's all going to be gone. Now, I know that a lot of you are catching up, and that's totally fine. Go ahead. You've got a couple of days still to go ahead and make sure that you grab all of that information, and you just kind of, do your download, do your brain dump. So you make sure you get all of that information, and you don't miss out on that. Okay. So it all comes down on Tuesday. So make sure that you go ahead and watch everything before then, okay? All of the videos are around 45 minutes, you know, sometimes a little bit less than that, sometimes a little bit more, but they don't go over an hour. And I was chatting with someone yesterday and they said, they thanked me for not having it be over an hour. So there you go. That's one thing that's happening as well, because I know we're all incredibly busy. All right, so go ahead and you can go ahead and catch up on all of those things there. Another piece of this is that, as you know, we've got bonus content, we've got bonus stuff. So we've been talking a lot and we've got additional content, additional things that we are going to be coming out here with and sharing with you for the next couple of days. So obviously we're here today, right, on Saturday, right? So we're here. So we're doing this with you now. We're also going to be here tomorrow and on Monday and on Tuesday. All right, so additional content. So make sure, mark your calendar. Or mark here your phone rather, put a reminder in your phone. Same time, same place, always right here in Thriving Women Entrepreneurs, always at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. So you can go ahead and pop that in your phone and we will continue to be here, okay? So one of the things that you can see as well is that you're going to see, if you go look up in the banner, you're going to see what the upcoming content is. All right, so the upcoming topics, we're going to be looking at things like, what is it that you can and should be focusing on each day, kind of first thing, so that you know what it is that you should be focusing on to really be driving your business each day, right? So because we want to make sure that we're making progress each day, and you don't, how many times do you sit down at your computer and just kind of go, oh, okay, well, now what am I going to do? What should I even focus on right now? Okay, so that's what we're going to break down. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. That's on Sunday. And then I have a lot of questions on the sales side of things. So we're going to dive into some more of those pieces as well. All right, how to facilitate those questions, how to stoke those conversations, how to get that relationship going in a productive way so that you feel that you can really be moving forward in your business. Okay, and you really feel like you're getting that traction on a daily basis, because that's what we want. Right, so those are some of the topics that we're covering. So make sure, again, take a look at that banner so that you know what is coming up. Okay, all right. So I have all my questions here. I've got my kind of list of questions that are coming through. As you think of things as well, make sure to pop them down in the comments, okay? And I think we can go ahead and get started. So as always, make sure that you minimize and maximize this screen, close other tabs, so that way you can kind of laser in and focus right in, so you won't get interrupted. I cannot promise that we won't get interrupted by my kids. That might happen. But anyways, we're all in the same place. Whether being interrupted by also my dog might also interrupt us, because he likes to sit here with me while I am chatting with you all. So, okay, so before we jump in, let's just go ahead and stop for a second. Just take a minute, take a nice deep breath. And just try to relax a little bit. It's here. We're having a start to our Saturday, which is always a nice thing. And I hope that you are kind of ready and stepping into a really fantastic day. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So I have a question from Jennifer. Jennifer, how do you know if Facebook groups are going to be a good way for me to get leads? Okay, so very, very good question. So one of the things that we want to think about is that we've kind of talked several times around this engine that we are essentially building. So we have our offer, we have our lead generation process, which is our lead generation system, that is our Facebook group. And then we have the sales system that bridges people from cold to close. All right, so now the idea of having a group is, I want you to be thinking about it in that perspective. This is a lead generation opportunity, right? This is a way to be able to bring people into your ecosystem and to start to engage, start to talk, start to kind of learn about what's going on with their issues, with their challenges, with their problems. Okay, so in understanding if your business is one that would be really great for having a Facebook group, is one of the first questions to ask is, do I need leads? The answer is yes. Chances are you do need leads. And now another piece of this is to think about as well, is to be thinking about what your price point is. Because we can go ahead and you can go ahead and use this process for any kind of price point. I mean, you can do it if you've got a $47 offer. You can do it if you've got a $4,700 offer. You can do that if you've got a $20,000 offer. You can do that through all of the pieces. But one of the things to take into consideration here is we're always having to keep in mind what our conversion rates are on any particular effort. Okay, so if you are, again, like a rule of thumb that you want to be thinking about, 1%, 10%. These are always kind of good numbers to be looking at and to be working from. So one of the things to be considering is that if you have something like a $47 offer, it is going to take you a long time. That is a lot of sales to get you through to that 10K mark, for example, right? That's a lot of sales. So you want to make sure that you are having the kind of offer that is going to lend itself to getting sales or getting a decent amount of revenue, getting the revenue that you require for your business in a timely manner. Hey, you don't want to have a thousand kind of sales in order to make this happen. Because again, one of the things that we talked about as well when we were talking on Thursday on day 4 about the selling side of things is that Facebook groups, it's not a build it and they will come and they will buy process. It's not a build it and they will come. And then of course, obviously they will buy. It's not like that, right? We don't want to approach our selling from a passive standpoint. We want to approach it from an active standpoint. So you are building relationships with each of these people with the understanding that you are not going to have an 80% conversion rate. Okay, so just because you have 1,000 people in your group doesn't mean that they're all going to buy. A relatively small percentage will, and you have to actually actively nurture the growth and development of that relationship, taking them from cold to close, building that rapport, helping to communicate your expertise, further pulling them into your ecosystem, and then getting them into your sales system, right? So there's all of these things to take into consideration. But one of the things that I want to point out as well is that if you are wanting to take a look at this, like let's talk about it. That's one thing too. Like if you haven't got if you haven't been able to kind of pick this out yet, and I know that we've been having lots of conversations and things like that with many of the people in our community. If you're not quite there yet, if you don't really actually know for sure, let's talk. I'm here. I'm here all day today. I'm here all day tomorrow, all day the next day, all day Tuesday. Like let's go in and jump in and see if this could be an opportunity for your business. Okay, so let's just talk and just completely take all the guesswork out of it. All right, so if you want to do that, then go ahead, send me a message. Say interested, and we will go ahead and we'll find a time for us to talk over the next couple of days. Because that's one of the things that's really nice too, is having that opportunity to be able to kind of do a bit of a deep dive into our own businesses. All right, so just kind of getting some of those pieces, starting to look to see what those pieces are and how they can fit together, so that way, understanding, knowing as well what your end goals are, making sure that we can get there. Okay, and then finding the right way, the right place to be able to do that. Okay, all right. So go ahead and go ahead and do that. So you can reach out. So you can see on my on the profile that I'm at here. Go ahead, send me a message, and we will get that all lined up so that we can start kind of having that. And that applies to everybody in the boot camp here. Okay, I want to talk to you about, like, let's explore this. Let's see how this can potentially kind of fit in with your business. All right. Okay, so now another question. So a question from Kiara. How do you attract new members to send a welcome message? Okay, so we talked about the value of having a welcome message. And so why is it that we do this? We have a welcome message because this is our first touch point to be starting to build that relationship, starting to build that ongoing conversation. So we want to have a welcome message that is going to be one that is highly relevant to their needs as it pertains to the work that you do and the community that you are cultivating. Okay, so you were wanting to make sure that you are kind of building that relationship, building that touch point in right from the top. Right, and again, this is about being very highly relevant for them. Okay, so it's not about asking like a whole bunch of questions or anything like that, but it's about starting to get kind of things going. So, and what I often say as well is that your welcome message should be just that. It should be it's not particularly intrusive. It's just a welcome. It's not a, hey, come in and buy my thing, because part of the thing too that you want to understand is part of your welcome message is starting that conversation, but this is starting the process to help qualify your leads to see if they are a high quality lead for your business. Okay, because not every single person who is in your community is going to be your ideal client. Of course, we are focusing on on attracting and cultivating a culture or a community of our ideal clients, but not everyone is going to be ready. Not everyone is going to be in that spot where they're ready to kind of like move forward immediately, right? So since that is the case, we need to keep on qualifying them, right? And part of that is kicking off a conversation, okay? So we're kicking off a conversation with our potential leads, and those potential leads are every single person who joins our group. Okay. All right. So how do you track those new members to send them a welcome message? So there's a couple of things. You can see them on your phone. You can also see on your desktop. So it is easier on your desktop. So when you happen to be on your desktop, you go to the members area. Usually what happens on desktop, it depends on which UI you have as well. So Facebook, of course, is always changing the look and feel. And so things just kind of change. My husband was rolled out the new UI before I was. So I was looking at his a couple of weeks ago and going, what is going on? Why does it look so weird? Everything's so hard to find, which is always the case when they first change things. So now they've kind of changed it a bit. But now what happens is when you go on desktop, so you go to your group and you will see, you've got your banner there, you've got the name of your group, and then usually a little kind of sideways caret. And so if you click on that, and then you are taken to another page, and then you're going to see things like your rules are going to be there, and if you keep on scrolling down, you'll be able to see your members. And so you should be able to filter people there. So there's a toggle. You can filter for whether it happens that the person is from the most. There's a couple different things. There's default, alphabetical, and then join by date. So you would click on join by date. And then you can see the people who have joined most recently, and then it goes down from there. So then what you can do is you can just click on them, and then you can, sometimes if you hover over them, there'll be a pop-up that shows up, and you'll have a little message box right there that you can go ahead and send a message from, or you can go over to their profile and you can see it there. So that is one way that you can do that. So that is a manual way where you can go in and just start to grab all that information and start sending that there. Okay. So additionally, on your phone, it doesn't work quite as well. So on your phone, you can't necessarily, while you can find some of the latest members, you can't always message people from there. So I find it to be an easier process on desktop. But another thing that you can do is you can use, there's various tools that you can use to make it so that you can automate this process as well. So for example, group leads, I don't work with them. I actually need to become an affiliate of theirs actually, but there is a system that I use that I find handy. There's, sometimes there's little glitches and stuff like that, but overall it's a very handy process. And one of the things that's really fantastic about this is that what you can do is you can set it up so that the system, group leads, will automatically send a direct message to your new member that's coming from your personal profile. So just so you know, it's not possible to send your welcome message from your business page, from your business profile, because the way that is set up, the way that business pages are set up is that while you can go back and forth with someone, the individual person has to message the Facebook page first in order for that back and forth to happen. So business pages are not able to initiate a conversation at this point. Maybe they'll change that at some point, but up until this point, that's what that's looked like. Okay, so this is when you set up with something like group leads, there's more of them out there. That's not the only one that's out there, but you are automatically you can send that message out. It doesn't go, you can set up different rules for it as well. So you can kind of make it so that you have to manually go ahead and approve them and then have that message send. So then that message can go out that way. But then what happens is that you can sync the information so that way you are sending not only the welcome DM, but then you can sync it up with your email provider so that way you can be sending out your welcome email at the same time. So all the information downloads into a Google spreadsheet. You have all the answers to their questions. You've got all that kind of automatically put into a spreadsheet, and then you're automatically sending out that email as well. So that way you're kind of getting both of those things that are happening all at the same time. Okay, which is fantastic and very handy. All right. So now you are getting those welcome that welcome out there. You're getting an opportunity to start engaging with people right away. You're sending out a very a very sincere welcome. It's not a hey, buy my thing. It is a hey, welcome here, and then relevant information to them, or relevant kickoff of conversation to them. Not too much. If you go too much, they're just not going to respond. We have to make sure that we keep it nice and safe. They don't know you yet. They don't like you necessarily. They don't trust you yet. There's no reason for them to be telling you, super personal things at this point. Okay. So you just want to make sure we're just trying to get the ball rolling with that whole process. All right. And the easiest way to do it so far that I have seen has been on desktop. That is something that I find easiest. And honestly, unless you're getting, it's something that is manageable manually. So don't worry that you think that you have to go and sign up for some system that is going to do this automatically for you. You don't have to do that depending on where you're at. I mean, if you're adding 10 members a day, that's very doable to do manually. Right? Facebook is not going to lock you down for sending a message to 10 people in a day. You don't want to do it like rapid fire. You want to make sure to kind of, do it once every couple minutes or something like that. But you can, it's something that's very, very manageable. And then once you start getting a lot more, you're not going to necessarily want to have to copy and paste their email address into the system that you use for your emails that go out, and you don't necessarily want to have to copy and paste the answers to their questions into a spreadsheet. So once you start to build that up and it gets to be a bit too much, it doesn't necessarily feel manageable, then you're going to want to go ahead and step back from that. So then you're going to want to go ahead and go, okay, what was that system that Shauna was talking about that I can do? And it's very affordable. I can't remember exactly how much it costs, but it's very affordable as well. So you can go ahead and do that. All right. Okay. So Latika, is there a reason you don't use a whiteboard or share your screen? Yes, great question. So one of the really great things about Facebook groups is that, or just using a lot of different social media platforms and stuff like that, in general, but Facebook groups is lovely and lives are just fantastic and highly engaging. It's just the fact that it's just kind of you and a camera and the people that you're there to serve. I like to approach things, or I try to approach things in a way that is as kind of stripped down as possible. I don't want to overcomplicate things. I don't necessarily want to have a whole bunch of tech. I don't want any of that kind of stuff. I would like things to be relatively simple. And so that's one of the ways that I approach how it is that I'm going to communicate in my lives. So I just want to talk to you. Now, one of the stand-ins for having a presentation or something is that workbook. I mean, this is something that you have an opportunity to be able to look at and to be able to, interact with right on, those kinds of things. So it's kind of a go-between. I think this is even handier, because then you're actually taking your own words, your thoughts, your questions, and you're putting it right on the page, which is a big and beautiful thing, and kind of has a big impact on your ability to be able to absorb the information. I mean, I have done presentations as well where, when we've all probably done some kind of presentations where you pull the PowerPoint together and you go ahead and you go through all those slides, and there's a time and place for that. And I absolutely do that for some things. Absolutely. For my course content as well. I've got slides. I've got things where I want to make sure that you're able to kind of read the information in addition to hearing what I have to, my additional explanation, my explainers on things, so that there's definitely a time and place. But for this, I want to have an opportunity to just talk to you, kind of straight up, and just communicate. So as you know, on day 4, I had my notebook and I was drawing my picture there for you. So, that was something that I tend to, in my mind, I have lots of pictures. And so I tend to kind of describe them, quite a bit, but I wanted to make sure that I was writing it down in a way for those who, it would benefit to be able to actually see it on a page, rather than having to just picture it in your mind. So I definitely wanted to do that there. But overall, my style is just wanting to connect. And that's what human beings like and sort of relate to as well, is being able to just see each other's faces, right? That matters. Being able to see each other's eyes. I mean, of course, I can't see your eyes, but you can see my eyes. And so that's, in the absence of being able to kind of make it so that we can see each other, it's sort of the next best thing. So that's part of the reason why I don't go ahead and do the whiteboard or those kinds of things. Another piece of it is just that it makes it a lot more manageable. So going ahead and putting together going ahead and putting together like those presentation, what those slides might look like, even mapping out what all your whiteboards are going to look like, all that kind of stuff. That is a whole other level of work basically that needs to be done in order to make it possible to make that work, right? Like to make that fly. So it is, and it's with that additional level of work, it's there. I've got the content. I could potentially do that, but I don't think that for what I would necessarily benefit everyone on the workbook does it more seamlessly for me. That's not necessarily always going to work for every single piece of content out there. But one thing that I would want to advise, and what I would encourage you to do, is that if part of the reason why you are thinking of just having your slides there and doing that is because then it feels like, oh, at least now I don't have to feel like I'm on camera and people can't see me. I would challenge you to challenge yourself on that, right? Because again, we want to see people, especially right now. So many of us are in lockdown. So many of us are all of us, our kind of actions, everything that we can do, our movements are incredibly restricted right now. We are longing for connection. We are longing to actually engage with someone, with people. Okay, so I would challenge you to not if it just feels like you get to hide a little bit because you're sharing your screen and now people can't see you. Just challenge yourself on that. Sit with that a little bit, unpack it a little bit, kind of figure out what it is that's going on there. Maybe start practicing. This is an opportunity. It's a relatively low risk opportunity to be able to just go ahead and share what it is that you have to say right from your mouth, right from your voice. Okay. So you can be practicing on your weekly lives, which are, maybe that's a 10-minute live. Maybe you start practicing on even less than that. And that's absolutely fine. It's totally okay. And then when you decide that you're going to do something like say you do decide to do something like this, where you're doing a challenge, a boot camp, a retreat, something like that, then you've kind of worked up to it. You've been doing it on a weekly basis. And so then it won't necessarily feel like the same kind of jump. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me see here. What do we have? Let's see here. Okay. All right. So Natalia, I'm having trouble finding groups where I can promote my group in. They all say that promo is not welcome. Okay. Right. Okay. So one of the things that we talked about when we're looking at growth is we're looking at a bunch of different ways to try and increase the number of people who are joining in my group, right? So you want to increase that number because of course, the more people we have in our group, that means the top of the funnel is wider, right? We've got more people who are coming in there. So growth is absolutely important. Now, there's a couple of things with this. You're right. You want to make sure that you are staying within the rules of the particular group because you don't want to annoy people just for the sake of it. You want to kind of make sure that things are okay. Things that you're working with the admin. The admin already has enough work with all the things that they're doing and all the kind of things that they do to manage the group. So you want to make sure that you're working within that. So there's a couple of things that you can do. One, it depends on the kind of group. So if you are like the kinds of groups that can be an opportunity, and this is like a little bit of a trick, is that you can go to groups that like the kinds of groups that allow for promo often are related to business and entrepreneurship and those kinds of things. Now, this can work for you regardless of whether or not you happen to be somebody who serves entrepreneurs and business owners and things like that. Because business owners are not, it's not like the only thing that they have going on for them is the fact that they're a business owner or that they're an entrepreneur. Okay. So business owners are people who are parents. Business owners are doctors. Business owners have sleep problems. Business owners have an issue with like their gastrointestinal situation. Business owners are wanting to get pregnant. Business owners are all kinds of people. It's a great big wide broad world. All right. So going to places like that, going to groups like that can be an opportunity for you to be able to find people who would benefit from what it is that you're doing. And then part of the added benefit to that is that you're not necessarily in competition with the person who is running that group. So chances are the person who runs that group does something totally different. So those kinds of groups can be very helpful in this process, with whether you happen to be a business that supports other businesses, or if you are a business that does something totally else. Okay, so that's something that you can do. All right, so finding those groups where you can promote your group. Also, how it is that you want to do it. So we talked about different ways that you can be, reaching out to other groups to be able to do this. You can do the thing where you go ahead and create your own post, right? So like you be that 1% and you go ahead and you create your own post and say, hey, here, join my group, and do that kind of thing. You can do that sort of thing. Or what you can do is that you can jump onto other posts that are going on, like some of those ladder posts and things like that. So you can go ahead and there's lots of a very popular thing to do right now is to say, do you have a Facebook group? And then you can jump on some of those. But one of the keys, as long as it goes along with the rules for the admin for that group, is directly inviting people still. So if you're going through and you see in those ladders and you see that there's a particular group that you're interested in and you think that that person could potentially be a good community member for yours, then you can say something like, hey, I followed you, or I requested to join your group. If you're interested, I'd love for you to join this group as well. All right. Or you can do that on Instagram posts as well. So, you can say like, that looks like what you're doing is really interesting. I followed you. I would love for you to join me here as well. Okay. So you can do that too. Another thing that you can do as well is it's a little bit via, but what you can do is you can say things like, you can follow other people's pages, and then you can have, if people happen to follow you on yours, then you can invite them. So if you've got your Facebook page linked with your Facebook group, then you can invite people who like your page, you can invite them to your group. Right now, so Facebook has some details around this, like some ins and outs on where it is that they will allow for certain things to happen. One of the latest things that I've seen that Facebook is doing is that in order to be able to invite someone who's liked your page into your group, they have to have engaged with your page within a certain amount of time before they will allow it. So the reason I believe that they're doing this is because they are wanting to make sure, like, this is part of the reason why people always say, and it's true, that follow for follow doesn't work. Because Facebook wants people who actually are interested in your content, and they want to do things to help those people get additional content that they're really engaged in, right? So if you do follow for follow, then you're just going to have people who are just like, it's basically like a dead follow. Basically, it's just somebody that's not very interested in your stuff is now in your group, and they're also not going to be interested in the group. And from Facebook's perspective, that's not very exciting or enticing. That's not a good thing, because Facebook wants engaged people. Right. So that's one of the things. So that's one thing that I also just want to say as well, is that you don't want to find group members for the sake of finding group members. So you want to be somewhat thoughtful about it, or you want to be thoughtful about it in who it is that you're inviting. But the point is that what I want to get out there is that you are going to have more success, more immediate success. You're going to have more control over the success that you have when you are directly inviting people, based on some similar interests, based on interests that that they have. You're going to have more success from directly inviting them than you are from doing a blanket, hey there, just let me know if you want to join kind of thing. Right? So we want to get clear. We want to get clear on what our call to action is, so that way people feel invited in. We like to be invited. We don't just like to kind of say, as human beings, we don't want to do anything wrong, right? So if we actually get that invitation, it makes a big impact. Okay. All right. Alexandra had the question, how many times a day should I post to my group? Okay. So there's a couple pieces here. And so some of the background on this question as well is the number of people that are in your group. So one of the things that the part of how this question kind of comes together and ends up like coming around a little bit more is saying, the sense that if you post the right number of times a day, that is going to solve the engagement problem. That's going to make it so that that's going to make it so that now people are going to be coming out of the woodwork and I'm not going to be the only one posting. Okay, so there's a few more pieces to that. I saw a question in the chat as well, so I will jump into that one as well. So there's a couple of pieces in here. So one, you want to make sure that the growth is happening, right? When it comes to engagement, you want to make sure that the growth is happening. Because when the growth is happening, what Facebook sees, what the algorithm sees, is that it sees this as a place, as an engaging place for people to be. So if Facebook sees that and thinks that, then what it's going to do is it's going to go, okay, so we should recommend this group to more places. We should go ahead and recommend them so that more people will join, because then more engagement is going to happen, etc. Okay, so you want to make sure that the growth piece, so basically the big point I'm trying to make here is growth is important, right? Because it's going to be very hard to have an engaging group if you've got 100 members. Okay, it's not impossible, but the point I'm trying to make here is that it's not enough to kind of build your group, whether it's to 50 or 60 or something like that, and then just kind of leave it there. You need to keep going with the growth piece. Okay, but to answer more specifically to your question, so in your group, you want to be posting about a minimum of 3 times a week to a maximum of 3 times a day. Now, around probably 3 times a day is too much, but you want to be posting, again, at least 3 times a week, and then about, like, say, once a day would be a little bit more manageable. To keep kind of in mind, though, as well, it's not just posting, it's what you post. So it's, again, remember we talked about one of the ways it's going to drive engagement, a key way that drives engagement, and then by extension sales, is relevance. So how relevant is what you're posting? How much does it speak to the pain that they are looking to alleviate? How much does it speak to your community members' ongoing desire to solve that particular piece for themselves? Right? So it's not just posting, it's posting stuff that people care about. And you can always post things like those really low risk things, like things like, do you like coffee or do you like tea? Now, if you happen to be in the coffee or tea business, then that is, that's like obviously a little bit more kind of relevant, to what it is you're doing. For most of us, what that is just kind of a way to get people, to get kind of more people engaged. Remember, we've got that 99-1 rule, where 1% is going to be creating content, 9% interact with that 1%, and 90% lurk. So those questions, the coffee or tea questions, are the ones that help to get the lurkers participating, so that way you've got a higher overall engagement level in your group overall. Okay, so that's kind of a rough kind of gauge that you can kind of put there. Okay, so I've got a question here from Samantha. I'm basically the only one posting in my group. Others comment, but don't really initiate. How do I shift the dynamic from just listening to the expert? I want to encourage other members to talk to each other. Right, absolutely. Yes, so this is partly one of the things that you want to look at. One, it's a very good sign that when you post, people are engaging with you. Okay, so we know one of the things that we just talked about, that 99-1 rule, right? So it's kind of falling into that pattern. You've got like the one person, I'm not sure how many people are in your group, but you've got like you who's putting stuff out there, and then you have more than one person who's actually interacting with what you're saying. So that's something that's that's very kind of helpful and useful, absolutely. So okay, a couple of pieces here, then what you can do. So what you want to do is, one, you want to make sure that the growth is there and continues to be there. Okay, because you want to make sure that, okay, so she says you've got over 500, right? So you want to make sure that growth continues to be there as well. Because when you continue to have that ongoing daily influx of people that are coming in and coming through, you've got sort of additional sort of ideas. And then oftentimes what happens as well is that those new members see that there are kind of things happening, they post, and it kind of like breaks the seal, sort of. Is that like I don't know if that's a term that ends up sounding kind of gross to other people, but you want to make sure that you are continuing to add to that ecosystem, to kind of keep on getting those fresh things, and also to include the absolute number of that 1%. Okay, because at the 500 number, that would be about 5 people, right? And so you want to make sure that you are increasing that number overall. Okay, Samantha. Haha, I get what you're saying. Right. So you want to make sure to increase. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. So my gross analogy, I think it does translate. But anyway, so now you get that. All right. So now one of the things that you want to do is you want to do those things, or you make sure that you have a handful of those lower engagement posts, so that way it is easier for them to feel like that there's a way for them to engage, there's a way for them to be injecting themselves in this community, participating in this community, without it always having to be somewhat high stakes, right? So it's helping to make it so that there's a couple of things that are a little bit lower stakes there. Another thing that you can do is, if you have someone on your team, like somebody else who is helping you, that you've got, like say it happens to be a VA or something like that, what you can do is you can get a couple of other people to post in a non-official capacity. This is something that can help with the culture, because one of the things too is, I'm not sure how long you've had your group for, but if somebody comes in, they scroll down really quick, because here's one of the things: we don't want to look stupid. We don't want to look stupid, and we don't want to make a mistake. We don't want to make the admin mad. I've had so many people message me, and when I say things like, hey, just a reminder, it's okay, you're welcome to post. So many people say, you know what? I don't even post in groups anymore because I'm just afraid of screwing it up. I'm afraid of messing it up. So I just don't. I just kind of wait until, and then participate in other things that are going on. Because there's lots of rules. There's lots of groups. They all have different rules. And a large percentage of them, the rules are that you can't promo, or you can't post. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be the admin or something. So if someone jumps in and then they do a quick scroll, and they only see that you are the one posting, if that's all that they see, they will assume that that's how it's supposed to be. Some people will go to the extent, will go to the effort of going ahead and jumping into the rules to see if that's actually what's supposed to happen. But for most people, they'll just kind of go in and take a quick look. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are doing a couple of things to kind of help. And one of the things that can kind of get that ball rolling is to get somebody else to kind of post a couple of things, just to get people to see that it's okay for other people to be posting. Okay, so that's one thing. That's one thing that you can do, is just get other people posting. Another piece of this is in your communicate, and how it is that you communicate around the how you communicate around your welcoming as well. So one of the, like, your welcome as well as your 3 questions. So your 3 questions can be helping to speak to a little bit more about the topics that happen in your group. Okay, you know that. And then a part of your welcome message can be just to let you know that, especially if you're doing it manually, if you're automating your welcome message, and it has to be more standard, so then this has to happen in the follow-up. But in your welcome message, you can be saying things like, I saw you had an issue with X. Please feel free to post it to the group, so that you can get additional people, additional input from the community. We have a beautiful community who is either, if they happen to be, experts in a particular area, or if they happen to be, everyone else here is also in the same boat, things like that. So you can make sure to communicate with each person that it is okay for them to post, right? So now you have communicated it. Now you've communicated it in your about section, in your rules, in your welcome message, in your welcome email, if you do that. And we're not trying to make it so that this is a mountain of stuff that people have to get through. You don't want to have to kind of make someone read a book or a novel before they even get in or wanting to participate. But it's giving you a chance to be able to let them know a little bit more. Okay, so overall, make sure keep that growth going. All right, try getting a couple of other people to post. Kind of encourage you, if you've got a couple of friends or something in the group, to kind of help you, to help people to see what the culture is like in the group. And then literally tell them in messages. Every now and then you can do a bit of a prompt as well. Like you can say, you can comment on this thread, or you can create your own post as well. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to actively do it for a bit before it becomes a little bit more seamless, and before other people are doing it automatically as well. Okay, so hopefully that helps you there. I can't see everything that is being posted here for some reason, so I'm sorry if you were asking a question and I'm missing it. I'm just going to refresh here, and anyways, we have lots of other questions that have been sent through anyway, so we will go ahead and ask things there too. Okay, so let me take a jump into some of these other questions here. All right, Trisha, how do I know what my sales system should be? Right. Okay, so we've talked about this, and this is part of the picture that we drew on Thursday. You have your offer, you have your lead generation system, your group, and then you've got that sales system that helps to take people from cold to close. All right, so one thing that you want to see is that your Facebook group is helping to warm people up. It's helping to warm people up through that process, so that way, once they get once you introduce them to your sales system, you are talking to a warm audience as opposed to someone who doesn't know you at all. Okay, so different things that you're thinking about when you're thinking about that sales system. So this can be a few different things. So these are things like your sales calls, right? These are things like maybe you have a webinar. Or something like that. Oh, I'm just trying to find the video. Where is it? So making sure that's there. Maybe Nin, if you could pin this to the top, so then that way I can find it, so I can see the latest comments on that. That'd be awesome. So yes, so you can go ahead and pin that. So understanding what that happens to be. So that can be things like your sales calls. That can be things like your webinars and like in the DMs, all those kinds of things. So when you're understanding what your sales system is, part of this that is related to is your offer. So when that part of your sales system has to be relevant for your offer, but part of what you want to think about is you want to think about what your price point is as well. Because if you're doing something like a sales call, that takes time. Right, that can take, depending on what the, what your script is, depending on what your process is, that is something that can take, 15 minutes, it can take a half an hour, it can take up to an hour for these sales calls. So you want to make sure that the price point lends itself to that investment of time. Okay, because we have to understand, like, time, your time is worth something. And if you're spending time on those sales calls, which is a very important way to spend your time, but if you're spending time there, you aren't able to spend time in other areas. So that means that you have to make sure that you have enough time in your schedule to be able to manage those sales calls, in addition to being able to do everything else in your business, which is helping to serve your clients. So if, for example, you have a sales a price point over, say, $1,000, that completely makes sense. It makes perfect sense to have that sales call for your sales process, because that's helping them to see, see additionally the value that you happen to create. Because of course the sales call, the discovery call, whatever you happen to call it, is a very valuable process in and of itself. So that way people can see what it is that they're getting in addition to everything else that you happen to provide, in addition to the value that they've already seen within the group as well. Okay, in all of your lives and all of your trainings and all of your freebies and all that other kind of stuff. Okay, so when determining what that sales process should be, that is something that you want to take that into consideration, like looking at what your price point happens to be. And that's something that we can talk about as well. So if you're wanting to kind of get into that a little bit more, send me a message. Let's have a call. Let's look at how those pieces can come together for your business, so that way you have that machine, you have that engine all in place. Okay, so if you're wanting to, whether it is Trisha, anyone here, anyone part of this boot camp, please send me a message and let's talk about how it is, like what these pieces of your business is. Because part of the thing that's really beautiful and exciting about Facebook groups is that, one, it doesn't have to be cookie cutter. It's not like it only lends itself to like a very limited number of options. There's a lot of options. You do not have to sell from a sales call. You can sell from a landing page. You can sell from the DMs. You can sell from a Google Doc. You can sell from lots of different ways that you can do this. This is not the only way. And so your question is absolutely on point, and it's a very, very valuable one, because you want to make sure that you have one that is going to be sustainable for your business, but also one that you like. Right? Because if you don't like it, you're not going to do it. If you don't like it, you're going to try to avoid it. We don't want you avoiding this. We want you jumping in. We want you diving in and doing it all, right? So great question. And actually let's kind of like dive into that a little bit more as well, because I'm really keen to do that. So that'll be a fun thing to look at as well. Okay. So where are we here? Oh, and I'm listening to myself, so that's not working. Okay, maybe I will just do this. Sorry, everyone. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, so there we are. Okay, so here we go. All right, so next question. All right, so Genevieve had a question. Do you use a camera on tripod for lives, or do you use the computer built-in camera? I use the computer built-in camera. This is not necessarily the only way to go, and I would not even necessarily say that this is a way to go. This is one way of illustrating the fact that you can do a lot just with what you have right now. Can you get a fancy camera and a really great mic and a better ring light than I have? Absolutely. I have to mention my ring light because my poor dear ring light, which I've had for a couple of years, is on the out. So I have to go. My new one hasn't arrived yet. So I'm now complaining about my dear lovely ring light. But it doesn't necessarily have to be anything fancy. One thing I do recommend is, you want to try out different things to see what is comfortable for you and also flattering. Usually, if you've got it straight on or a little bit up, that's a bit more flattering than having it kind of down below you, because then you're looking down. That's why we always do our selfies like this. So that's one thing to consider. Also, it can be really great. I really like talking and standing up. So that can be something that's really nice. You don't want to make people sick when you're moving around. You don't want to move, necessarily too much, but it can be really handy to have that too. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're a decent distance away from the camera, so that way, you can kind of move a little bit and you don't feel like you're necessarily kind of rooted and stuck in one spot. And it's nice to be able to have some movement. One thing I want to note is that it's very helpful to practice speaking right into that little camera. Okay, speak right into it. Now, I know obviously, we have our notes and stuff like that to look at, and completely, of course, obviously that's absolutely okay. But you want to start practicing looking at the camera. It can be really distracting if you have it on Facebook, and then you can be looking at yourself. But then you're talking like this, and you're talking like this the whole time. Are you talking like this the whole time, which is a little bit unnerving? It's nice when it feels like you're actually looking into someone's eyes. Okay, so it's a good thing to practice. It can be a hard thing to remember to do. So something that you can do is you can put like a little sticker, or you can put a picture. You can tape a picture of someone that you like, or who you think is absolutely fantastic or wonderful or inspiring or something like that, and you can kind of tape it right beside the little camera hole. So that way it reminds you to keep on looking, and then that way it feels like you are talking to a person rather than if it feels like you're talking to a little green light. Okay. All right. Okay. How much content do you need on your group page before you start inviting people? So, for example, is it better to have content so that people can actually see what you do and offer? Right. So this is part of the question here, is when you are just getting off the ground, or if you're reigniting a group that maybe has been dormant for a certain amount of time, what is it that you can do to what do you have to do to kind of like make it so it doesn't seem so empty? So here's one of the things. Every single group started with one member, just you. They all started like that. Okay, so don't worry that you are somehow different in that way, or that you're going to be exposed in some way for being there. That's all of us. Okay, that's the situation for every single one of us. Okay, so go ahead and put that information right in there. Okay, so what you can do is you can have, if you have content, if you've got videos that you've done on other platforms, if you have blog posts, if you have any kind of writing ideas that you've had, if you have been previously using another platform like Instagram and you want to go ahead and just kind of grab some of that content and repurpose it and just sort of put it there. If you've got tips and tools, resources, things like that, go ahead and put it there. I'm going to say go ahead and put it there, not because this is going to have massive impact on anything, but because it will likely make you feel a bit more comfortable and a little bit less exposed. And then you are going to be more likely to jump in there and just invite people to what you're doing. Okay, you're going to be more likely to kind of go get the word out. You're going to be more likely to kind of jump in there and do all those kinds of things if you're not feeling quite so sheepish about the fact that it feels empty. Okay. So yes, there is no, you can put 0 things in there, or you can put 10 pieces of content, you can put 20, you can put however many you want. I would not go and spend a day trying to put a bunch of stuff in your group just to try to give it the feel of looking full. That's not a good use of your time. How you spend your time is actively growing your group, getting out there, figuring out what that system is, so you're getting 50, 60, 70 new members every week. Figure out that process for yourself rather than worrying about that piece. Because as soon as you've got the members, once you got the members there, then they're starting to, then you have this fertile ground for engagement to start happening. Okay, but it's hard to do that kind of before. So there is no absolute answer. Genevieve is basically kind of my my comment there. But go ahead and do it if it's going to make you feel more comfortable, which for most of us, that's not unusual. For most of us, that would make us feel more comfortable to have something there. Okay. All right, now, so Genevieve also asked, what times are best for lives, mornings or afternoon, early evening? Okay, so this is an important question because the answer comes down to what is ideal for your end client. So you want to, again, coming back to what engagement looks like and how that is and how relevance is so important, you want to be live at the time that is best for your clients, for your ideal clients, when is best for them. All right, so there's a couple pieces here. One, being live and kind of picking that time. One, I just want to say something as well on the importance of or the value as well on not worrying too much about whether people are on live with you. But let me pin that and make sure that I come back to it. But so you want to be at the time that's best for your people. So we've had someone here comment that she does her lives at 7 o'clock in the morning because that's when's best. That is when is best for her clients. Perfect. Perfect. I have, there's other people who, for lots of people who work with people who are in a corporate environment, but are working with them in a way that is more personal to them, know them as parents, on things like anxiety, on things like presenting skills, those kinds of things. Like it makes more sense for them to be working outside of work hours, you know, outside of the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and Thursday evening, 7 o'clock is like the perfect time. Perfect. So just know that. So you want to be going to be mindful of things like time zones. So you want to be mindful of if you happen to serve people who are all around the world, be mindful of that with your time zones. So it may not make sense to do something that's going to translate to, 3 o'clock in the morning Pacific, for example, even if it happens to work for other time zones. So you want to work on, make sure that you're thinking about what is ideal for your ideal client. Now, that said, one of the things that you're doing with the lives is, yes, it is really lovely when people are on live with you. But what you have to know is that once you've done your live, it's not like your video disappears. So you go ahead and you have it there in your group, and now you're building your library of content. You are building your library of expertise that you can then refer to and help refer your new community members to this content. Now you have it there. Okay, so now as you are learning more about each of your members, you're learning about the challenges that you have, that they have rather, you're able to tag them in some of those videos later, after the fact. So first of all, this is a piece of content that you're able to communicate before the fact. So as you're having conversations with people, as you're in the group and talking, saying, hey, everybody, we're going to be talking on Friday about XYZ. Love to have you there. You create an event, you invite people to the event, you tag people in the event if they expressed interest. So you've got that there. And then afterwards, from now until forever, you have that piece of content there. So when somebody asks a question about it, which they absolutely will, because you've created a piece of content knowing that it's valuable to your customers, then you can say, yes, actually, I have something on that. I'm going to tag you in it so that way you can, take a look, and then I'll follow up with you. Okay, so you're building this ongoing library. All right, you're building this library. So what time is best for your lives? What time is best for your lives? Is one, whenever is best for your end users, and the best time for your lives is, like that kind of that old adage, 3 weeks ago. That was when it was best for you to start doing lives. Start now. Right now is the best time for you to start doing lives and start building up that library. So you go ahead and do that, and 6 weeks from now, you've got 6 videos. You've got 6 videos there, right there, waiting, content that that your end users want to consume. Okay. Okay, so let me see here. What have we got? What have we got? There we go. I saw someone else comment and I can't see it. All right. So, okay. So let me go back to my list. Okay. Katie had a question. What are ladder threads? So ladder threads are those ones where people go ahead and post, and then oftentimes this is what they often look like. Someone will say something, and they'll say something like, "Who has a? I've got this really great group, and it's all about X. Who wants in? Comment me below." Me. A whole bunch of people post me below, and then you go ahead and you say something like, "Okay, oh, fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send you the link. I'm going to go ahead and send you the link. I'm going to go ahead and send you the link." So then you go ahead and do that. And the whole reason for that is that these are posts that lots of people comment on. Right? You make the first step to getting what they want, commenting below, because what this does is it plays into the Facebook algorithm, because it gets engagement happening. People are going me, and then you're saying, "Oh, awesome. Here's the link," or then you're starting a bit more of a conversation. So then you've got this comment and maybe a couple comments, comment, a couple of comments, comment. And now all of a sudden you've got 20, 50, 80 comments on this post. And Facebook goes, "Oh yeah, this is obviously engaging content. We should make sure that a higher percentage of this community sees this post." And then more people see it, and then more people engage. And then it's this virtuous circle of engagement. Okay, so that's what those how those pieces ended up coming together. Gina had a question. Why do you use Zoom for your lives? How do you do that? So the way that I use Zoom for lives, because I like to be able to, Zoom makes it possible to record the video. I can record it right to the cloud, just kind of immediately. This is not the only way to do it, but it's a way to do it that is convenient. And the way that you do that is you just go and you link it through Zoom. So you have to log into your Zoom account, and there's a how-to. That's actually really easy. If you just Google, linking linking Facebook and Zoom, there's a very step-by-step how-tos out there, and it's really honestly very simple. And then what ends up happening is you end up getting this little spot where you go ahead and click it when you open up Zoom. It says stream to Facebook, I think it says, or Facebook Live or something like that. So then you click on that, and then it takes you and it gives you the option to be able to be able to post through Zoom, through Facebook. And so the nice thing about this is that you are able to record it, which is really handy. And then you can have that there. You can have, when you're wanting to do interviews and stuff like that, which we've got coming up. So then you've got that as well. So that's always really handy to be able to do too. So yeah, so that's why I do that, and I like doing that. Okay, another question. Amanda, should I allow promo in my group? So this comes down to, again, what is it that your end users want? What is it that your end clients want? What do they need and want? Does promo threads or promo in your group, does that help to solve a problem that your ideal clients have? So if promoting their offers is something that helps them in a way that, because you understand them so well, and this is relevant to your offer and to your community, if you know that this is something that helps them, then that is something you can absolutely consider. It's not something that you have to do. You can have rules around it and all that kind of stuff. So should you allow promo? It's the same question like, should I ask questions about XYZ that is related to my business? Yes, you should do things that are going to greatly benefit your community. Now, for some communities, promo harms it. For some communities, allowing promo makes it worse, makes the community less cohesive, makes the community just less than. For some communities, allowing that promo absolutely makes sense. That's why you see a lot more promo in things like entrepreneurship groups and business building groups and things like that, because this is important. It's important to the community. It's important to the community members. This is something that is top of mind for them. They're looking for leads, they're looking for sales, these kinds of things. And so then it makes sense to allow promo. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So it's kind of like how long is a piece of string kind of question. It depends. It depends, allowing promo, it depends on what is going on for your community, what is relevant for your community, what your community needs. Okay? And so if that happens to be the case, then yes, that can absolutely be the case. And just to let you know as well, is it just because you decide to go with one particular thing for a while doesn't mean you have to stay there forever, right? You don't have to stay there forever. So you go ahead, jump in, try it, and maybe it turns out that it's actually not a fit for your group in the way that you thought that it would be, and then you can change the rule later. So it's absolutely okay. You can also do things like turning on post approvals. So if you're not really sure about it, you're not really sure what's going to be happening, just turn on post approvals if that's something that you want to do. Then you can be approving the posts as you see fit. Okay, so you definitely have you have a few different options there, and you aren't locked in. Okay, you aren't locked in at all necessarily to what is going on there. Okay. All right, so Pam has a question. The people in my group will not buy. I have discounted my course, but nothing. Okay, so yes, so some of the conversations that we've had has been around kind of saying, you know what, I'm not really sure this can work for my business because just they won't buy. I've tried it. I've tried before. I've tried saying, hey, I have this thing. Nobody signed up. I've tried it a couple of times and it didn't necessarily go. Okay, so there's a couple of things here. Now, one, it could be that the reason that they are not buying is because the fact that you've attracted the wrong people. It may very well be. But this, if you've gone ahead and you have determined that, yes, actually, these are my ideal clients. These are my ideal clients. So you've determined that. One of the things that I end up hearing sometimes too is, you know, just in what's happening right now, what's happening in the world, I know that people are just they're not wanting to buy things. People will not invest in something that is $5,000. People won't invest in something that's $10,000. People won't invest in something that is $200. This is what people are telling me, but that is not true. That's just not the case. That's not the case because my business has grown. I know that countless of the people that I am talking to, their businesses have grown. You can kind of see it around everywhere. That's not necessarily the case. So I would say that what is going on is there's a couple of pieces here. I would say that it's not so much that there is, you know, again, assuming that your community is full of people who are you know, relevant to your offer, that it has less to do with the fact that that people just aren't buying now, because again, that's not true. That it has less to do with that, or that there's something wrong with them, the people in your community or something like that. It has less to do with that, and it has more to do with how you've positioned your offer. Have you communicated it in a way that incentivizes action? Have you communicated it in a way that speaks to the urgency that that person, that your ideal client, has for that solution? So what I would say is that it has more to do with how you've communicated your offer than the fact that there's something wrong with the people in your group, right? Because we have this process, we have the group, but we have to utilize it, because we have to remember that Facebook groups, it's not a passive exercise. Sales is not this passive exercise. I know that we would love to just be able to kind of go hang out there, and then people just kind of keep on coming to us and saying, take my money, and you know, we'll get there. But it's an active, engaging process. And so when people are coming into your community, what are you doing to warm them up? What are you doing to keep that engagement going? What are you doing to build that relationship? Have you built the rapport? Have you established your expertise? Are you speaking in a way that completely speaks to the challenges that they have, the issues that they have, the problems that they have, in a way that makes them go, yeah, okay, yeah, excellent. I can see how this all lines up. I can see how the solution that you have, it's going to take me from where I'm at to where I want to be. I see that. And then for you to be able to communicate and say, okay, this is how you do this in a timely way, because we've already determined that this is important to you. So what I would say is that it has less to do, it's not so much the community, it's not Facebook groups, because Facebook groups can be wildly successful and be beautiful for this process if you're taking through the steps, if you're going through that, okay, which we can do. So what I would caution against is, before you start going and discounting and discounting and discounting and discounting, before you go ahead and do that, we first take a look at what you're doing in the first place, and have you maximized on the steps beforehand to make it so that you're in a position to convert people to the offer that you want. Because remember, if you go ahead and discount everything that you have down to $200, you've got to sell a lot of those in order to make it worth all of the energy that you put into getting that there. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are making these things line up in a way that's going to be relevant for you, that's going to get you the revenue that it is that you need and want. Because if you aren't getting the revenue that you need, you're not able to invest back in your business, and you're not able to knock it out of the park for the people that you serve, which is what we need and want you to do. Okay, we want you to be in a position to be able to be able to knock it out of the park. Okay, All right. So, and that's another piece as well, that if you're wanting to look at that, like if it's felt like you kind of had this thing and you're not so sure this is going to work for you, message me. Let's look at this. Let's look to see what the pieces are in your business to see how those things can come together. Okay. All right. Okay. And Sarah had the question, what time are the group calls? Okay, so this is a question about permission to profit. So let me see here. Let me back over to our other section here. So permission to profit. So as you know, I have extended the invitation. I would love for you to join us at Permission to Profit. Okay, so I would love to have you there. It's a 6-month program. It's a 6-month program. It is $560 US a month for the 6 months. And that is if you do it over each month, or it is a $2,940 one-time payment. So you are saving about 14% there. That's approaching on a free month. We've got a lot of extra bonuses there as well. We covered a lot of them yesterday, but you're also going on this price is staying until Tuesday. After Tuesday, it is going up. You get access to the member-only portal. You've got weekly live calls, okay, that are there. You've got your weekly live calls with you. You get an additional one-on-one with me, which I'm not doing one-on-one anymore. Okay, so I don't have that capacity anymore. But with signing up now, you are getting access to that now. Okay, and then with that weekly call, which was your question, Sarah, when are those weekly calls? So we have 2 calls that you have an option from. So you can join on Tuesdays or you can join on Thursdays. On Tuesdays, they are at 10 a.m. Pacific. So that's 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern. And they're also on Thursdays. And so that's on 9 a.m. Pacific or 12 noon Eastern. So you can pick one of those. And so whatever happens to work best for you, so you can go ahead and jump in on those. And those happen every single week. So no matter what, we are always talking, we are always checking in, we're always getting that accountability there. You also have the ongoing and unlimited email support as well. So I really see my relationships with my clients as a partnership. We are going back and forth because, as we've talked about, this is not a cookie cutter solution that we are looking for. We are looking at making sure that the pieces are stripped down so that we know the simple pieces that you are focusing on to really get that momentum so that we know what you are focusing on going forward. Okay, so we are making sure that we are building that out for you. I'm meeting you where you're at. This is not assuming that you happen to be already at the 10,000 a month mark, or that you happen to be higher than that, or wherever you happen to be. We are meeting you where you are at. Okay, we're making sure that you are not having to just kind of sit there with that content and do it alone, because I've been there. I've been in those kinds of situations, and it's not enough, right? We want to be able to get farther faster. So you want to have that. You want to be able to ask me directly what you need to do now. And so that is what we have built into this program, because again, I've done that. I've done the kind of the other piece. So we want to make sure that you're not having to do that. Okay, and there's all the other bonuses there as well. I know that we've already covered them. You've got the Facebook group audit, which again, you don't want to have to sit and kind of actually go through all the pieces yourself and try to grab information here or there. We're just going to do that run through, so you've got it all in one place. Huge value there as well. You're also getting an additional month. So it's not only going to be for 6 months, you're going to get it for 7 months as well. So, I mean, there's just all the extra bonuses there as well. Okay, so you go ahead and so we're going to have the link is there. The link is there to join. So please join. It'd be wonderful. I'm extending that invitation. I would love to have you join. We have a lot of fun. And what I would also love to have you do as well is let's talk a little bit more about this. If you've got any questions, additional questions about the program, if you've got additional questions about your business, if you've got additional questions about Facebook groups and how they can fit in as that lead generation strategy for you, if you've got more questions about the sales side, any of those kinds of things, send me a message. Let's talk about this. Let's go ahead and kind of get into all those details so that way you can get these answers for you now, and really looking at getting things kind of catapulted. So that way we're moving towards a 2021 that is just going to be killer for you. Okay. All right. So go ahead, and I'm looking forward to having that conversation. Okay, so I've got, let's see here, one more question here. That is, what should I do with my Facebook page content versus Facebook group content? I feel like I'm repeating myself. Okay, yeah.
Yes, that's fine. Okay, so what you want to do is you're going to be repeating yourself a lot. All right. So this is one thing that I definitely advocate for on an ongoing basis is a whole bunch of ones. Right. So we've got one main offer that you have, one main ideal client, one key problem that you solve. And then the next one is one key challenge that one key channel that you're focusing on. Right? Because if you're trying to focus on, a Facebook group and a Facebook page and your Instagram and building up YouTube and building up, your podcast and, if you're doing all those kinds of things, what's going to happen is that it's going to take you longer to get all the information you need to systematize things in a way that, again, is going to catapult your business in the way that you want it to. All right. So one of the things that I first advocate for is focusing on that one key channel. And so for our purposes, we're talking about focusing on that Facebook group. Now, what that means is that doesn't mean that you abandon everything else. But what you can do is you're repurposing content out to the other places. And it is perfectly okay that you are repeating yourself. That's absolutely okay. All right. So maybe you don't necessarily put the exact same piece of content on one platform as you do on the exact same day. Even if you do, that doesn't matter, because we have to remember that Facebook does not show everything to everyone. So in your Facebook group, what you post to Facebook, if you've got 1,000 members in your Facebook group, if you've got 200 members in your Facebook group, all 200 or 1,000 or however many people you have do not see your content. Okay, it's not everyone that sees that. It's a percentage that sees it. So you want to make sure that you are continuing to reach out there. You've got your IG stories, you've got those kinds of things. But first, don't worry about having to be all places all at once. Focus on your key channel. So you've got your key channel, which is Facebook. You've got your Facebook group, that is your key channel. And now, excuse me, you're going to repurpose content to some of the other platforms that you have. You're going to repurpose some of that content to an email, repurpose some of that to your Facebook page. And that is fine. That is absolutely fine. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Don't worry about that. You can just go ahead and move forward with that. It's totally fine. Don't worry about duplicating yourself. Don't worry about, we want to focus on the key driving factors of your business. We want to focus on the number of leads that you're getting each week. We want to focus on the number of conversations that you have started and ignited. We want to focus on the number of times you are extending the offer to get on a call. How many times are you doing that in a week? You want to focus on how many calls you're actually landing in a week. And then you want to focus on how many sales you're getting. Right? We want to focus on these key driving factors of your business. These are the low-hanging fruit. This is the stuff that you really want to move the mountains on, really want to move the needle on. Worrying about duplicating content is not a key driving factor of your business. Okay, so it's not as important as these other factors. Okay. Okay, so awesome questions. We've been talking for over an hour now. That's fantastic. Keep them coming. Either you can just go ahead and send them to me as you have been, or go ahead and you can keep on with this thread as well, and you can kind of add questions there too. We will keep on checking in to make sure that we're getting all of your questions answered. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. It's been absolutely wonderful chatting with you, and I'm really looking forward to booking those calls with you. So let's go ahead and get on the phone and chat. I'm here all day. I'm here all day Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, we've got time to have these conversations again. Remember that everything comes down, the cart closes Tuesday at midnight, all the content comes down Tuesday at midnight, everything is coming down in a couple of days. So let's get on this call today, tomorrow, the next day. Let's make that happen now, so that way we're able to get everything answered and get you on your way to exactly where you need and deserve to be in your business. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. As always, thank you so much for erring on the side of empathy, curiosity, and kindness. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow right here in Thriving Women Entrepreneurs, same time, same place, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon. And we're going to have more information for you. Really jumping in tomorrow and looking at those key things that you need to be focusing on every single day in your business. Keep an eye on the banner so that you can see all of the latest content that we are going to be delivering over the next couple of days. Okay. Okay. So great job. Great work, everyone. Thank you so much for sending through all of your questions. Thank you for posting your questions. And I look forward to seeing you in the group. Okay. Talk soon. Bye.